Let's return now to the debate around the stage 3 tax cuts and the government's backflip on those. They said they wouldn't touch them. They are, but it is going to benefit nearly 90% of taxpayers with more tax relief. Let's bring in now Liberal MP, member for Menzies, Keith Wolahan. Happy Australia Day, Keith. Thanks for coming in to have a chat about this. Very interesting politics. Obviously a broken promise, a very clear broken promise, but 87% or thereabouts of taxpayers will receive more as a result of the backflip.
Thank you for having me, Kieran, and happy Australia Day to you and your viewers. I listened to the Treasurer's responses to your questions on the drive in, and it really concerned me that when you put specific questions to him about his view last year, he evaded the question and gave you an answer that said, well, we haven't changed our view on some other items that you put to him. So last summer, we had the Treasurer try to reinvent capitalism over summer. And this summer, we've had the Treasurer try to explain that this is not about politics when he's removed the most significant reform to income tax in the last decade. And I think Australians deserve an answer to why that happened and how you can trust this government with anything going forward.
The trust question is absolutely a relevant one, no doubt, and the integrity question about what you take to an election and what you even say after the election, but then change the position. On the political reality, there'll be many of your constituents who probably welcome the outcome.
Well, let's talk about the politics of this. There's a by-election here in my city of Melbourne on the 2nd of March, just over a month away. That's what's driven this announcement, and that's what has driven this reform. And let's consider the realities of dining tables around this city and this country. There are 3 aspects to how people are doing. There is their income, there is whether they own assets or not, and many Australians don't own a home and they aspire to own a home. And then there's the rapidly increasing costs of everything, whether it's inflation on all of the produce that you buy, increased rates on a mortgage, HECS getting increased, and all of the utilities that people pay. Those 3 items all feed into it. And for those that don't own their own home or don't have a family that own a home that can help them, income and aspiring to a higher income was the way forward. And particularly where I am in Melbourne, or in Sydney, or in other capital cities, the cost of housing means that you have to aspire and look to a higher income. And that has now been taken off the table by this announcement by this government.
Yeah, indeed, that aspirational question, the trust question, I get what you're saying, but many people vote because of the impact, and this is not a criticism, it's just the reality. People vote due to their hip pocket, how they're going to be faring. And I guess now more than ever, given how tough things are and cost of living, as you mentioned there, rates going up, if they're going to get another $800 under a change setup, even if it does mean a breach of an election promise, will they welcome that?
And I understand the commentary and the politics of this. You can slice and dice a particular aspect of a particular bracket and how they might get more money. But for people paying bills, it doesn't matter if you get more money in one hand and you lose much more in the other. We need a wholesome view of the economy that seriously addresses reducing inflation and reducing all of the costs that come with that. Because when we talk about bracket creep, and bracket creep's not something that's known to everyone. It was something, you learn as you become an adult and start paying tax. It's directly linked to inflation. So in a high inflationary environment, we're pushing more Australians into higher brackets of income tax. And that's going to continue going forward. And so this is all about the politics. I noticed that the Treasurer tried to deny that it was about the politics and then tries to quickly flip this onto what the coalition is going to do. Well, they've broken a significant promise that they, a week ago, were saying they weren't going to change. And again, we come back to the election last year. Susan Lee was right to point out that this was an election decided on that issue, but because it was an election also decided on integrity. And we lost a lot of seats from my party, particularly in metro areas. And one of the top issues that was foremost in people's mind was integrity. And we got that message. I certainly got that message. And I think Australians who value integrity should seriously look at the integrity of the Prime Minister now.
Member for Menzies, Keith Wolahan, thanks for joining us this Australia Day. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kieran.